Hey guys, this is Sarah's night,
And Lantis.
and we're finally back after like several months.
Yep.
Skies
Thanks
of Arcadia.
to freaking COVID.
And I'm just gonna head for the first thing I see. Oh,
It's dog. Do you even have anything to drop off for him?
no, that's why we didn't instantly go
No
into the boat to...
No chim cham charoos?
I think that's what I kept calling the things that you had to keep collecting in .hack.gu.
Yes, it was.
What were they called?
Chams.
And I kept like Chim Cham, Chimney Charu,
Yep, that's what you did.
Chimichangas, or... I could go for one of them right about now.
A chimichanga?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Apparently Sailor's Island was where I was supposed to go.
Dude, I have no idea what we were supposed to be doing right now.
I know one of the last things we did, it might be the very last thing, was we grabbed the Fina ship, like the only one as small as it is capable of flying all the way up to the Silver Shrine in the upper sky. And that so we had to dig down in the old Earth for it, because it was shot down at the beginning of the game, and we basically subjected DeLoco and his entire crew to a slow burning death. And I kind of feel a little bit bad about that, even though DeLoco was a douche.
Yep.
If for no other reason than, he did have just a bunch of other guys on board with him who were just regular soldiers, I'm sure, fighting for country,
Fighting
Hey,
for country.
what was that?
That was Rachel. Putting something in the trash, beating something out. Please.
That's what she said.
That's... Better be careful.
Well, I'm assuming the chivalrous thing is not to mess with him over his air sickness. And Enrique.
That was the neutral option, it seems.
Well, I wasn't telling you to get up. I mean, give up. Get up? I wasn't telling you to get it up. That's what she said. Sorry, I'm on a...
Two in a minute.
I'm on a that's what she said streak because, in just the last month, I have, ending just last night after I got off of work, had a nice glass of sangria to relax. I watched the final episode of The Office. I got through the whole series, all 9 seasons, in just a month, 5 weeks or so.
Not bad.
And I don't know, for some reason, that's what she said that Steve Carell's character would do. The boss character, Michael Scott. He kept saying that, and it never got old with me. Most of the time, I at least, kind of giggled a bit. And even when he makes, he leaves in the middle of season 7, I think, so you go a pretty long time without him. Until the final episode, he just appears out of nowhere. I honestly wasn't expecting him to come back for, the, final event of the... And, before... and it wasn't you couldn't see that... I mean, I couldn't tell that it was going to happen. It was out of nowhere. Just the camera pans over to him, and it was something like Dwight. He goes to the gym. He's like, no, Jim's like, I'm sorry, I can't be the best man at your wedding. And Dwight, Dwight thinks that's a bad thing. He's like, no, why? Well, what's happened? How can I change your mind? He's like, well, there's gonna be somebody else. The camera pans over to Mike. I mean, not Mike. Yeah, Michael Scott.
Yeah.
And he's just there out of nowhere, and Dwight's like, Michael, you came, and he's like, just the way he's posing, he's like, that's what she said. That was the perfect way to just have him come back in for this one final part of this series. I was like, yes, that's one of the best moments in television I think I've ever experienced.
Michael, you came.
That's what she said. It's just the way he said it, so
confidently.
Yeah, and dignified. Alright, so no info to sell. Here's a soul, apparently. Oh yeah, we can't see it. Like, that part of the game is really messed up on the
Yeah, there's a texture problem.
Bird of the East. Well, you pretty much told me exactly what it was, so I assume these things have already been pretty much found already, and so you get paid like a much lesser amount just to like sort of corroborate the story.
Yeah, just become another source.
How do you say corroborate? Is that?
Corroborate?
Okay, so it's corroborate?
Corroborate.
Okay. See, I didn't know. The way to Galacia.
So, SK, you've been brought up on to the happenings of Last of Us 2. Now, I believe we've talked about our opinions on Last of Us 1 before.
Yep.
And just for the good viewers at home, do the events of the second game change your opinion of Joel's actions in the first?
They do not.
Good to know.
I mean, I wasn't happy that he died a violent death. I'm not cheering that on. But...
Spoilers for The Last of Us 2, by the way.
Yeah, sorry.
That's actually still pretty new.
But nevertheless, that does not put him in the right.
In fact,
really kind of hardens my resolve against, you know, thinking, like, kind of makes me even more averse to his un-SK-like actions at the end of the first game when he says, and you know what? If God enabled me to do it all over again, I'd do the same thing. I'd make the same choice. He didn't sound that confident about, like he'd be gleeful, but nevertheless, the fact that he does not change his mind, just kind of, you know, not too keen on that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you have to do to get the bounty to show up on the trio of Amazons who like want to take Vice and like, you know, make him have babies with him.
Wow. I mean,
I'd be like, nah, I'd probably stick with Ika and Fina too.
I also think...
I mean, I doubt they're gonna sexually assault me in my sleep.
And so also between the dichotomy between Ellie and Abby, you find yourself siding more with...
I mean, neither of them are very good people, but I'd say Abby at least had more good actions than Ellie did. I was telling Lantis when he was giving me the story, because it's not like I'm just probably never gonna play the games. I never played the first one. Just kind of know about it, and Lantis was telling me, like, you know, kind of the main events of the game, and the further you get into, I'm like, the less I'm on Team Ellie here.
Yeah, I mean, the game boils down to, hey, guys, revenge is bad.
Yeah, I mean, at least the game's not glorifying. It's saying this is, you know, kind of how your life's going to end up. You're going to be sad and miserable. And it's just a vicious, never-ending chain of...
And that's the story they wanted to tell. And I think they, to be fair, I think they told it well. It's a terrible story with, like, a terrible outcome, but it was told well.
Yes.
Oh wait, I don't remember this. Like, Gilder is willingly, like, with Clara?
I mean, look at that face, though.
Okay, yeah, he doesn't look that happy.
What kind of pies are they?
I'm just That's what he asked?
No.
Yeah, the game's gonna make it look like Fina's gonna leave the party permanently. She really... I don't think she even leaves, like, for
Ever.
any amount of time.
Thank you very much.
That is a...
I like her happy face.
The joke I was going to make was creepy.
Oh. So yeah, it's been several months since I last hung out with Lantis.
Yeah.
You know, we were trying to, you know, kind of wait for Corona to
And it just got worse.
seem a little bit more under control. But
the one reason I had like a problem, I like you being like kind of a germaphobe. I feel pretty safe being around you, but I wasn't comfortable with you coming down while my wife was still working at FedEx, because she was literally touching boxes that were literally touched by 50 bajillion people.
yeah.
And then she was around other people frequently, so I think she was. I would consider her like a high risk at spreading, but she stopped working there, and it's been a few months, so I feel like it's at least safe enough.
Yeah, and even then, I waited a little bit while longer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that
So-
was more due to like schedule conflict, but
And a lot, at least for, you know, the kind of we're average Joes here. We're not heroes living in our own RPG with exciting, adventurous lives. So to me, I consider this a lot having happened in my life since new developments since last time. And yes, it's pretty much centered around the fact that I have a crush on someone in real life, and I'm quite proud of it.
good.
Very.
I am glad.
For our audience at home, because Lantis and I had a long discussion about this, that, and the other,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
this was part of the convo. But her name, and I hope she doesn't mind me speaking it aloud. Her name is Erin Minter. Very cute name. Even the name sounds cute. She's somebody I work with. Unfortunately, I do not get to work on the same shift as her most times unless something unusual happens. So I'm always excited to hear about when Logan, the guy who works in my area and on her crew, is taking vacation to where I gotta cover him, or I ask him. I pretty much make up some lame excuse to actually switch days around with them. Like, hey Logan, I got this doctor's appointment, and there was one time that was actually true.
There's one time I wasn't lying.
I got this doctor's appointment, you know, it was scheduled a long time ago. I didn't remember it until I was reminded of it coming up. It's on a day when I gotta work. Would you mind taking this day for me, and I will work this day for you? But of course, you know, even though for the most part I was like telling truths, they were just lame excuses is all.
Right.
You know, it was solely for the purpose. I could have dealt just fine with the slight inconvenience of not switching days with him. It was mostly for the purpose of being able to hang with Erin. She's been very kind to me despite not returning my affections. I finally, about 2 months into the crush, you know, so this took place in May when I finally asked her out and I admitted to having a crush on her. She turned me down politely, but she has been, even, I would say if nothing else, even more talkative with me since, treating me as, you know, a buddy. So I'm still happy to be able to spend time with her, and I hope that maybe, you know, if this goes on for a while longer, if my feelings remain, which I hope they do, because I'm very idealistic about these kinds of things, you know, I'm hoping that maybe she'll
Thank you very much.
change her mind and be willing to give it a shot. But she was averse, and it's totally understandable, about dating somebody you work with. She wasn't like,
I mean,
it's
it
because
is,
I find you unattractive and repulsive in nature. So
Like,
wasn't anything
there's a reason why don't shit where you eat is the saying.
I know, but you know, I got my ideals, and I wanna be optimistic about things.
Yeah.
I'm not, and that doesn't mean it can never work. It just means that probably quite likely it won't
I
work.
was rewatching.
But you know, I also believe that, you know, even if a relationship ends, that doesn't mean it was a waste of time or you have to leave it, you know, with grudges or, you know, hating the person. I think you can break up totally amicably
Yep.
and be like, hey, we had great times.
Yep, absolutely. I've known. Well, I don't know the person, but I've heard of that happening. It is not unheard of. But yeah, we've
Just right quick, I just want to notice Vice's like kind of aw shucks grin right here.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess Fina doing like this kind of cute little pose. He's starting to wonder.
Maybe
It's starting to get much like the butterflies I have around Aaron. The nice butterflies, not the ones that kind of make you feel queasy, but where you just kind of feel warm in the chest. Like I am pleasant and chill right now due to the attractive presence of this person.
Yeah. Yeah, we actually, SK and I had a lot of catching up to do. Like, we were supposed to be trying to get through Final Fantasy VII Remake, but ended up, like, stopping intermittently for, like, almost, like, an hour at a time.
Dude, I think it was, like, we just had one break where we just suddenly just got into all different kinds of talk for 2 hours.
Yeah.
At least 2 hours.
We used to actually do that kind of shit all the time. Where, like, I've got some outdoor chairs that we'd sit in the backyard and just jack-jaw for an undetermined amount of time.
Vice, you trying to cop a feel there?
A little low.
Nah, that's not what Vice would do.
Not a swashbuckler.
He's just trying to catch her, make sure she doesn't fall and hurt herself. Oh, I remember this part happening where, like, your island gets pretty much defaced and it gets slowly rebuilt. I didn't think it happened at this point in the game.
The only thing that needs to beat the face is that child. Oh, that face is ugly.
Oh, remember that was the brat from
Valua.
Yeah.
Valuan, whatever.
It was like, I'm gonna tell the Empire on you that you snuck in here, or sneaked in here. What's the past tense? Is it sneaked or snuck? Which one is the grammatically incorrect one?
I think snuck is a word. I don't think it's sneaked. It might be both. Where's my phone?
So he's like,
give me my phone.
He's like threatening to have
give me
you
that.
Executed by. And they're like, man, little jackass. No, it's all on
Sneaked
fire.
Versus snuck. Sneaked is the past tense of sneak when the verb is treated like a regular verb. Snuck is the past tense of sneak when the verb is treated like an irregular verb.
I'm gonna be honest. I vaguely remember learning about this in either grade or middle school English class. But I do not remember what it is. What is the difference between a regular and irregular verb?
Some people frown upon snuck, so if you're in doubt about which one to use, sneaked is usually better to go with. And you want to know the difference between a verb and an irregular verb. Thank you, English teacher
so
Google.
basically it sounds like it's saying the past tense of sneak you can treat as either a regular or irregular verb.
Right. So basically both, but most people colloquially use sneaked.
Yeah. Okay.
Colloquially. Yeah, that's a word to say.
Petrify my enemy!
I said petrify my enemy. But yeah.
Well, let's just try.
So we didn't get very far into it, but SK has also made it past the reactor number 1 mission in the remake. And
man, I'm sure I just need time. Oh god, these soldiers have a lot more HP than I thought.
It doesn't seem like our buddy here has really taken to it yet.
Talking about me?
Yeah. Which is fine. Like, if you don't like it, you don't like it. Like, it's fine.
Wow, these guys have some powerful magic. Considering, anyway. Well, you know, I just need some time to get into it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I forgot about Aika's line there. Okay, I just need your regular attack, because obviously that's doing a lot more. Or maybe a good rain of swords will...
Oof.
He like leads back to his feet. He's like, oh wait, no, that was a killing blow. So
I'd better kind of not live.
We'll just have. Oh, she's got Razalam. Nice.
Open either lens. That's not even the right game.
I was like, it's like, wait, this seems like a weird time to run out of conversation considering it's been so long since.
Well, I mean,
last
because
time.
the thing is, I mean, we did a lot of talking. Like,
Yeah, well, I guess we kind of should have tried to save it all for the LP.
Yeah,
but then again, I never really good at conversation with trying to play at the same time. I admit it, I've never been.
That is fine. Content's good anyway. I gotta say, I really enjoyed Princess Tomato and Salad Kingdom.
Really? Because I got to the point where I was just like, I gotta finish this, because I feel like I'm just dragging.
I would never play that myself, but I did at least enjoy watching somebody else go through it instead.
I'm still highly disagreeable with calling Sir Cucumber a knight, any kind of knight, because he makes his underling, his squire, so to speak, do all the fighting for him.
So, what makes a squire a squire? What did... Sorry, boss. I lost all these items that we don't need anymore.
How'd they find our base? I mean, you're not that far out there into, like, remote, unexplored regions, and who knows? They probably went around the world just attacking really any isolated, you know, island where they saw activity that's clearly not like a town. They probably just attacked everyone, just wondering, hey, we'll run across, you know, our greatest enemy, Vice and his crew yet.
Oh, shit.
All the way back here? All the way back here from Dangris. Well, you should reward those loyal soldiers then.
Right? With a swift death.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the Empire.
It's what bad guys do. Even when their underlings don't fail, then still might kill you just for make an example of you.
You know what? I should show you. There was a Sega racing game similar to Mario Kart, and it featured a lot of playable characters from the Sega line of IPs. It was called Sonic Racing Transform. I didn't hear the thing.
I remember we're totally confused on what that noise actually even means, or absence of it. But that does seem like, you know, I care more about. Of course, you got to look at it from the other perspective, like, but if you handle the crystals to him, you've just given the Empire the power to take over the world, and probably many more will die as a result.
But yeah, in this racing game, Vice is a playable character, which is cool. But it also means that there's a Skies of Arcadia level. And I think it's a pretty cool level, and maybe you should see it and see all like little shout outs to the game there are in it.
I'm sure I've mentioned it before, but this game, and I think at least if nobody else, Stuttering Craig from Screw Attack, he admitted, you know, he's not like RPGs just aren't his forte. But I mean, I assume that, you know, the whole game together, you know, votes on what gets in these lists. But Skies of Arcadia was among the top 10 best Dreamcast games.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's really the only time I've seen it get any kind of acknowledgement.
And I think
actually,
I think it's one of the best GameCube games. And the GameCube's got a lot of good games. By the way, Screw Attack hasn't been a thing for a while, but it's come back as Game Attack. Apparently they rebranded because I guess they didn't want to have something ripped entirely from Metroid.
I'll be honest, I haven't kept up with them even on like Death Battle for probably at least 3 years, if not more. So I do know them of late Zero's decade and early teens.
Aughts. I don't know why it's called the aughts.
Oh, so then Ramirez is like, here's my true intentions. I actually hate most of the Empire.
Why were the 2000s called the aughts? What?
Yeah, talk about petty and selfish, Ramirez.
Okay, so aughts is derived from the word naught, which is an English term for the word zero.
Okay.
That is weird. So, like, aughts is just another word for the 0th decade. Careful.
I don't care, I'm just gonna go with what my heart says.
Well, your heart is clearly not a swashbuckler.
That reminds me, if there was one big thing about Bioshock 2 that I hated,
What's that?
it was how confusing it was on at least one point about, you know, determining your alignment, whether you're good or bad. And, like, you can make this mistake, and I did. In fact, I do it on purpose because I want to do what I believe is the right thing. You know how, aside from saving or harvesting little sisters, you also have 3 instances in the game where you choose
to deal with like bigger players, like the 3 dudes, right?
What do you mean bigger players?
Like, not bigger players, like choose to either kill or spare certain people.
And
NPCs.
I thought the obvious thing was because you basically went through an entire level and fought through several enemies, went through a whole lot of hell to grant Gil Alexander his wish of, you know, death so that he can be at peace, at least in his mind. And it turns out the good thing to do is actually to let him live. Even though you went through all this, and it's his wish, he said, and look, when he still made these recordings as a human, he said, look, when you get to me, I mean, in my current form, as you will see me, I am probably, no matter what I say, do as I'm asking you now, and please, you know, end my life. Don't let me live on as a freaking monster. It turns out the good thing is letting him live on as a monster.
Yeah.
Even though all this, and you know what, I kill him anyway because it's clearly a mercy killing, and he wanted you to do it.
Yeah.
While he was still human.
I agree.
He said, and don't let me, in my monster form, try to convince you otherwise. So the system morality there was really screwed up. Luckily, you still get the good ending, even though you're disobeying, you know, like the rules on that one instance. It's like, I think it's, as long as you spare at least one out of the 3, you know, guys that in those choice moments and rescue all the little sisters, then you get the good ending. Watch my hand closely. I'm about to do something with it. Oh. Oh, yeah. Did Ramirez had the silver crystal all along?
But of course!
I actually didn't remember that. I thought it was at the Moon Shrine. Oh, Fina's got it, too.
We all have it. It's all
The
in
silver
each of our
crystal
hearts.
lives on inside each of us. Oh, okay. Now it makes sense.
Oh. What are you interested in? Her life.
Okay, but then you're gonna have to, like, kill all the other Soulbites too, aren't you?
Very astute. Like, he's killing Fina. Yes, he explicitly said he was going to do that.
Why, she want to make a move to...
Nope, he's gonna watch.
Oh. Somebody came to the rescue. I
Was
forgot
it?
who.
Gilder.
I thought he was on base with me. Or, well, I mean, his ship was here, so I guess he just, you know, sneaked out through the confusion. He's like, yeah, and then I'll turn around and...
I saw
Get
the
him
ship,
from
I'm like,
behind.
that's not the little Jag.
Insignificant pieces of feculent scum!
Peculance.
When I first, you know, played through MK10 and shit on set, I was like, wow, that's quite the insult.
Wait, you mad? He drops the crystal, but he still gets pulled up. Wait, no, go back!
Yeah, I'm dumb.
I agree.
And we actually only spent like maybe $100,000 on...
I'm glad it didn't go to waste.
I mean, no, the fact that it was such a low price in the first place. I mean, that's... I mean, I maybe gave less than that amount to the dude that was building up everything. I can't remember his name. It was like one of the two guys that was going bam.
Bam. I think one of his name was like Bomb or something, or Barum or something like that.
O'Leary is dead and O'Reilly don't know it. O'Reilly is dead and O'Leary don't know it. They both are dead in the very same bed, and neither one knows that the other one's dead. Barum. I don't know how I remember that from. I'm probably not even singing it right.
There was a
from,
game.
Scary Stories books.
There was a game. Hold on. There was a game where one of your character's fathers died, and like right after the scene, you were put into a location where the music was like really peppy and it felt really out of place. And I can't remember the game. If I did, I'd probably remember the song. But like while the song was just like being this happy little thing, I was just like, "My dad is dead. My dad is dead." I really wish I could remember what it was. I remember. It was Trials of Mana, the remake that came out. Charlotte's character found out that, and it wasn't one of his father, it was parents. Charlotte's parents were dead, and he got put back into the town, and the town music was super peppy. I was like, my parents are dead. It's just like I don't know.
Inappropriate music cues. Oh wait, Mogi is here? I just saw her down there. Oh, well, I guess she probably wouldn't be welcome in Valua with Enrique, so never mind. I mean, he can go back, but...
Correct. Hi, Fina. Glad you're not dead.
Uh-huh.
Well, I just realized that I'm just drawn to call these out every time. I'm like, you know, somewhere on the internet, somebody used this scene as a hentai fanfic of some sort. You know this is one.
It's
A perfectly vanilla one between Vice and Fina, I'm sure. You know, you get in that emotionally vulnerable moment, guy comes over to comfort the girl in distress, and suddenly it's like, by the way, I've always loved you since I met you. Oh, really, you have? I felt the same way all this time. Well, let's do it. Oh, apparently I'm actually not going in. Oh, that's what peps her up. She sees everybody trying to rebuild the island in spite of things, not giving up. I know Aika's response is gonna be like, if you got time to complain. Yeah, his name is Brabham.
Yeah, Brabham.
I thought it was the other dude that made the sound, though. The short, fat one. Burrito Man. Well, that place that Ramirez speaks of is the Silver Shrine, and of course we're going there too. I hate Figaro's hair.
That's about as grotesquely phallic as his personality.
Believes that you can do so much better than this guy. Much like with Jesse and Cloud. You were supposed to say something about that.
My bad.
What are you watching?
I'm watching this woman berate employees and other patrons alike at a
for
grocery
wearing
store
masks.
because she was told to wear a mask.
But my freedoms!
Just a Karen being a Karen.
Where'd they come up with that name?
I don't know.
Like, why Karen?
I don't know, but it caught on.
Oh yeah, nice way to sweet talk her.
By the way, just throwing this out there, if you shouldn't be offended of being called a Karen. That's just us being polite and not calling you a cunt instead.
Where'd you hear that?
That's just what it is. That is the more polite term that is used. Because it's what you're actually being is an unbearable.
Yeah, that's a nice shot right there.
Yeah, it is. I like the positive outlook they have, despite the fact their island got blowed up.
Yep. Blown up. Not blowed. That's what she said.
Very good.
Yep. Visike and Fina. These are good characters. In fact, despite Chrono Trigger being my favorite game of all time, I have actually, I don't know if I ever told you this, but very recently I've really thought about it. I'm like, you know what? I gotta say, I honestly do. I think I have to be honest and say that Chrono Trigger is objectively a better game than Final Fantasy IX. It used to be Final Fantasy IX first. Probably from the moment I first played through the game, so for a very, very, very long time, and then Chrono Trigger second. Probably Final Fantasy VII or Final Fantasy VI third, or maybe Lunar Eternal Blue.
Oh yeah, Lunar Eternal Blue used to be your favorite for a long time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it's always been between. Ever since out of high school, because that's, when I have all the classic beloved RPGs during that phase, and a little bit before junior high, maybe. But it's shifted between, like, for at least some point, it was either Lunar Silver Star Story, Lunar Eternal Blue, Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy IX, or Chrono Trigger. I'm gonna have to say, and then pretty much ever since I first beat Final Fantasy IX, sometime in the 11th grade, it was my absolute favorite.
Yeah.
No, I gotta say, especially, it's not rational for me with my personal hatred of Zidane, despite the excuse I have, but it's still not a big drawback on the game overall, because I honestly can't imagine playing as any other crew. All these guys work well together, even though I personally don't like a lot of the characters. It's so hard to say without sounding dumb or completely irrational. I mean, because honestly, the only ones I think that are genuinely cool, like, at least a lot more on the cool side than bad side, is Freya and Dagger. That's 2 out of 8, I can find things to bitch about Steiner, despite being a knight and all, or Vivi. Despite him, Vivi is commonly... thought of as like one of the deepest characters, I think, in the Final Fantasy series, and I understand that, but I can also say I think he's a whiny little bitch.
Correct.
Just stuff like that, and I totally understand why most people seem to like Zidane, because it was honestly a refreshing change from being this emo, like Cloud and Squall. So, I mean, I get all that. And again, somehow, this crew, the game just works well. The personality of it, the tone, works well with this crew. But despite all that, and the fact that Tetramaster freaking sucks.
Tetramaster...
When I put these two major drawbacks together, I can't honestly say that Final Fantasy IX is objectively, like, being my most honest self is saying that, it's my personal favorite game. Chrono Trigger, I have to say it's better. It's still not a perfect 10. I don't know if I can ever label a game a perfect 10.
Amen!
9.75. I still would rate both Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy IX at 9.75, but that's not literally that precise exact number. I mean, if I wanted to get down into nit grit, yeah, maybe I could say Chrono Trigger places above Final Fantasy IX, that Chrono Trigger is a 9.81 in reality. and Final Fantasy 9 is a 9.74321 contact, whatever.
Okay.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember that show? Didn't they make y'all watch that at Westside when you were in?
Yep, they did.
3, 2, 1, contact. It's the secret. What does that mean?
I don't know.
For one? It was
I
like
don't
one of
know.
those like scientific discovery shows for kids.
Thank you very
3,
much.
2, 1, let's make contact. So yeah, I mean, I rate stuff in increments of like 0.25 on a scale of 1 to 10 at its smallest. That's
quarters.
yeah. I'm not willing to like try to break it down, further than that. So yeah, they're both a 9.75, but on an actual list, ranking best games, Chrono Trigger, I have to be honest and say Chrono Trigger still ranks above Final Fantasy 9.
And
Hey,
here's the
that is
thing.
no diss on Final Fantasy 9, because if that's like your second favorite game of all time, it must be a dang good game,
And here's the thing.
And
like,
it will definitely always be the best Final Fantasy. I know you like FF6 better, and I totally see why.
Okay.
I believe your ranking is actually best three. Your ranking is actually 6, 7, 9, right? And I think I go exactly backwards, 9, 7, 6.
Yeah, I think so.
Possibly. I mean, I would have to play these two games back. I would have to play 6 and 7 back to back, and probably over several different times, and analyze things here and there, like specific things I think of, in order to make a definite decision. But offhand, I could see myself saying 6 is still better than 7, but I've pretty much stuck with 7 is
So
better.
So here's the thing.
But 6
right?
is freaking amazing.
My probably biggest complaint about Final Fantasy IX is that I hate that learning skills are tied to physical equipment. I never liked
Yes,
that.
my
I
lord.
thought it was trash. I was like, oh hey, look, I can get this really cool sword for Zidane, but I gotta keep this crappy pair of daggers on until I get the skill off of this. And even then, you only have so many passive points, so you couldn't even keep a lot of them that you did earn.
I would see it just making the game too easy if you didn't have to choose between abilities you could equip.
Right.
I see where you're coming from, but I have always disagreed with that. I actually do like that learning system. Not the best, not the absolute best, not by far.
You prefer to be like, oh, I can't learn this spell because
I did not-
it's on a fucking wand in a city that's 5 hours away from where I am currently.
To me, it was like the Gambit system in FF12. It did not give you too much. It had the perfect balance between having too much control, being able to have too much, and being way too hands off.
Well, here's the thing with
like
Final
for
Fan-
instance, Final Fantasy 13.
But
I mean, I know I'm speaking about that in very vague, generic terms. I really don't know. I liked the strategizing and choosing which abilities you can take with you before every dungeon. And it must have just somehow happened to you and not to me. But most of the abilities you learn off of weapons and armor, they are available on more than just one piece.
but the thing is, the first one you run across, you're limited by the story to when you can get it, right? Like you can't just be like you were comparing the Final Fantasy 12 example. If you go into Final Fantasy 12, you got a caster, and you want to learn the spell. Like if you want to learn Cure, you just fucking go learn Cure. You don't have to wait till you find a piece of armor that has a spell that you can learn off of it. You just go to the freaking table and you go learn it. You can grind it out till you get it. Kind of like in Final Fantasy Tactics. You can get every job and every spell without having to worry. Like, if you wanted to grind for
So
it,
you
could get it.
felt that new weapons and armor were available too fast before you had the chance to fully learn the ability on your previous weapon.
Here, I think...
Is that what you're saying?
I think this will get the point across better than anything else. Final Fantasy Tactics Advance.
Sucks.
Right. For many
But
reasons.
it did basically have the same system.
Except
didn't
it was skills, yes. It was the same system. But it was jobs, too. You couldn't even get... Like, in Final Fantasy Tactics for the PlayStation, if you wanted to go get a summoner, you just grind out all the job levels until you unlock summoner, and there you go. You play as freaking summoner. In Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, if you wanted to get to Summoner, you couldn't because you need 3 skills as a Black Mage, but you don't even have access to 3 skills as a Black Mage until you get to a certain point in the story where it has the 3rd available spell as a Black Mage to have, and now I need so much into a Chemist, but again, you need so many skills, and they might not all be available until a certain point in the game. You're bricked by how far you can do, and it's gated by progression through the story.
Okay, now I see what you're talking about.
And Final Fantasy IX
and
is the same way.
That is a way to look at it, yes.
And I don't like it.
And well, no. If I say this is going to create so much controversy, you...
I dare you. I dare you to say it.
You dare me?
I dare you. Double dog.
And I think I've like thought it's always I think this out in my mind and I argue it so well, and now I'm not gonna be able to like reclaim any of those words or way of reasoning.
I've been in that situation.
I no longer take issue with, and I think this was one of your biggest.
Mm-hmm.
I no longer take issue with the fact that Necron is the final boss.
I still think he's a stupid final boss.
I believe.
He's still a stupid final boss.
I don't know.
I mean, if
I reason this out so much that technically he's not truly out of nowhere. His whole purpose, like this emergency history eraser button for the entire planet. I mean, it's kind of hinted that there was something like that all along. I don't even know how to say that it was throughout the game, but keeping with the themes, the tones. Yeah, there's no. Yeah, of course, all ability to reason about this has been lost on me. Now that I'm, so to speak, on camera.
I just want to point out real quick.
Now, I'm not saying for a second that means I would not have still preferred, or at least I would have liked it as much, for Kuja just to have like a second form after after you fight him well, technically you fight him. This is the second time you fought him, but it's like in that series, the series of final battles. It's that Death Guy's monster. That was kind of like his pet, kind of like the Velgarder de Sigma in Mega Man X1.
Velgarder.
And then Trans Kuja, because you fought him as like regular Kuja, at the end of Disc 3, before that. And then Necron. No, if Kuja wanted to have a second form after the Trans Kuja fight, okay, fine. But I think the fact that you found... And I really just now thought about this. I like how Enrique, he's not afraid to threaten his mother. He's not like, ideals, like blood ties before my personal ideals in sense of right and wrong. He will.
And he's out.
Oh yeah, and Beleza has to cover for.
Now I will say.
Anyway,
Okay.
I'm sorry. What I was about to say. The fact that Zidane actually goes back to rescue Kuja, it's more like Kuja's the one that has been. He's just kind of been out of his mind this whole time, but just sympathize with him in a weird way. He's not totally a monster. You can bring back his, sense of right and wrong. It's just like he almost destroyed himself, but you take pity on him. And I don't see how you really could have done that had Kuja just, kind of gone all out to the death in, like, by having, like, a second form and that actually be the, the true final fight instead of Necron. But because you see Necron, you're like, this is his intention. He sees he kind of sees things the way Kuja did as nothing but, chaos and suffering in all the world. The best thing to do is just to erase it all, but he was actually going to the extreme and just like, I am going to return everything to nothing. But Zidane sees Kuja, even I can find a reason to keep on living despite everything you've done, even for you, Kuja. I don't see how we would have been able to have that, nice little theme of the ending, the moral lessons and stuff, had, say, we gone with actually slaying Kuja in a second form, and that be the final fight, and Necron not, show up at all. It's just like after fighting Necron, Zidane Zidane sees, even maybe even having darkness in the world, so to speak, kind of like in Final Fantasy 3, having darkness in a world that's at least a world that still exists, that still survives, where we can have the ability to choose between good and evil, is still better than literally nothing, which is what Necron was going to do. Erasing all traces of life, thus memories, thoughts. It's like Zidane says, even in times of darkness, I can find something good. I can maybe at least learn something from it, find value in it. So it's kind of like, in a sense, like a very tenuous connection here. But in Final Fantasy 3, the Warriors of Darkness came to help you as the Warriors of Light, just to stop the world from being like that. Was never the purpose or kind of theme of Forces of Darkness in Final Fantasy 3. It's just like, I'd at least like to have a world that exists. I'd at least like to have life. We might have different ideals on how to live that life with the Warriors of Light, but thus, since the Cloud Darkness's intent was to erase all life, much like Necron's, the Warriors of Darkness team up with it, and I actually like that.
Yeah, why you like that is because the Warriors of Darkness are nothing like Americans, where they will literally burn the world to the ground before working together towards a common goal, even if it means wearing a mask.
Globalism scare, communism,
whatever. Sorry,
socialism.
But as far as like final
total
bosses
anarchy,
go,
Antichrist.
I think
spewing out words that I hear like nutcase religious conservatives say, because that's mixed in with basically religious within now just seems to be patriotic, nationalistic.
Separation between church and state should go both ways.
Anyway, you were saying.
I was saying. I think there's a pretty good measure to tell what's a good final boss in a Final Fantasy game and what's a bad one. And to look at that, you need to view the spin-off Final Fantasy fighting game called Dissidia. The playable characters are always generally the main character from the game and the bad guy that best represents that game. So, for example, Cloud, Sephiroth. Sephiroth was the final boss in that bad guy. But look at Final Fantasy X. In Dissidia, the representatives are Tidus, and it's not Sin, it's Jet. Because Sin was a dumb bad guy. Nobody thought that fighting the Sin thing that looked like a tick at the end of Final Fantasy X was cool. That
wasn't Sin. Sin was like the name of the monster.
Oh no,
that was embodying.
Yeah, no, the tick was Yevon. Yeah. Either way, bad final boss. Replace with the better in Dissidia. Replace it with a character that was more appropriate for it. So, who do you think the bad guy character for Final Fantasy IX is? You play as...
I assume Kuja.
Yes, it's Kuja. It's not Necron.
It's kind of like the direct nemesis rival of Zidane, the main good guy. Now, you know me, and I have my personal arguments about why Zidane is actually not that good a guy, but he is on the side of good, representing the forces of light.
Right.
I'm just.
There's
a lot of ways in which I personally don't agree.
I'm just throwing out there that like you might be thinking, well, Necron's like too big of a character to he's a too monstrous to be a playable character, but Cloud of Darkness is also a playable character. Like, Cloud of Darkness was also kind of a monstrosity.
I believe the trope is called Eldritch Abomination.
Yep, an eldritch horror of sorts. But yeah, no, I still don't like. I hear you, and I understand your opinion. I still
okay.
Do not like
I'm glad that you at least saw where I was trying to come from.
I see where you're coming from. I still do not like Necron.
And despite how unfair that fight is, I somehow just got so into it because, like, my will to live as the player to not game over just kind of drives me in that fight.
I love how Southern Cross can literally just end the fight immediately. Or is it Northern Cross? It's the one that puts...
Grand Cross.
Grand Cross. There you go.
I mean, a lot of Final Fantasy games had that, at
Yeah.
least a form of Grand Cross, which is just like random status effects. It could, but come on, dude. What were the odds that it was literally going to either turn everybody to stone or kill them? It's never happened to me anyway.
Or, I mean, stone, kill them, berserk. Like there are plenty of positions that put you in a no-win situation.
If they had just moderated, it seemed like his turn order, his speed was like all over the place. There were times where he could attack 2-3 times at once, no matter how fast you're trying to go through your own characters and choosing their turns. He would get like 2 or 3 turns in per like every character, not even like per round.
Right.
You know, and other times it's like he would hang back a little bit, and you get like 2 full turns of characters before. I mean, if it wasn't so friggin' erratic like that, it would have been a lot more fair.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that was like the point, but you know.
Also, I think I also agree with you that I think that there are too many characters that are kind of either like unappealing or uninteresting in Final Fantasy IX. Like,
No, it's not. It's not that they're uninteresting. They just personally get on my nerves in some way.
right. And, well, I guess...
I mean, like, for instance, I totally admit, Zidane is interesting. He's very dynamic, charismatic,
You know
all that
who's-
kind of stuff. Because it's like going so far in the opposite direction of boring-ass characters like Cloud and Squall, who are just like, I don't care about it anyway.
I mean, that's Armorant. That's literally Armorant. And then you have Quina.
I still like Armorant better than Cloud or Squall.
But
But
Armorant is just a fly on the wall the entire game.
he has the personality of a dial tone, yes. But But okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to kind of include Armorant and just not having much of a personality. Quina does have a personality; it's just an unappealing one. And it's that there's not much to like the background or motives to Quina. She just wants to travel the world and eat all the food. And she's like, well, whoever you're fighting, you're the one, taking me to all these places, so I'm gonna fight with you. And Aiko, yeah, she's an obnoxious little girl. But again, these guys this crew works so well for what kind of game this is, such that it's, even though I dislike a lot of them in many ways, personally, except Dagger and Freya, because they're friggin' like, Freya is my favorite, hands down, Final Fantasy protagonist, playable protagonist especially, ever. Freya is friggin' awesome.
If you're a furry.
You once thought Amy Rose was hot. Shut up.
What? When?
Back at the mag. You were like, well...
Are you sure it wasn't just Joshin? You positive I wasn't Joshin?
Not joshing in the sense of like, what I really do is find that the fact that she's a hedgehog is totally like, I would never bang that. I don't think you were joshing in that sense. But you were like, I'm joshing in that I realize I sound stupid in saying this, so I'm just gonna roll with it.
I don't remember that conversation at all, period.
In the days when we were active at the mag, you talked a bit about Amy Rose. I'm not saying that literally means you would totally do her somehow if she existed in real life or whatever, but
no, I would not.
And to a sense, I was with you. In the sense I was always like, why is Sonic running from Amy Rose? I mean, she's cute. Like, why is Gilder running from Clara? Except I would actually bang Clara. Because for one, she's human. She's my species.
Oh, alright, this is cool.
Oh yeah, I remember the Silver Shrine is upside down. And now I have trouble walking around because Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
here's
I have
the
to
thing,
say
like,
that regardless of the fact that I definitely have a softer stance on the Necron thing, and the fact that I like the way you learn abilities and and stuff.
I can't believe you actually
and the battle
like.
system.
I can understand if you didn't mind, but to actually like that
Okay,
system.
it might be closer to didn't mind.
I mean, if
despite
like,
those facts that
if you like it, that's fine. Like I don't see how one could.
Okay. Well, anyway, even though my stances are softer on that, in comparison to the time when we first did our, and it was like 7-8 years ago, so you know, a lot can change in that amount of time. When we did our like Final Fantasy retrospective, where we just talked about the pros and cons of every main numerical installment, including Tactics and Tactics Advance.
Mm-hmm.
So the only two major gripes I have with the game is Tetramaster and Zidane.
Mm-hmm.
But even Zidane, my gripe with Zidane is offset by the fact that I do understand why other people like him, because again, he's such a refreshing change from Cloud and Squall.
He is
I
adored,
know it's very I know it's very hard to
Zidane.
see his personal faults that I see. And I will say, I think Zidane is no longer number one on my list of most annoying characters ever. He'd probably still be in the top 10, but to tell you the truth, I think I hate Rita from Tales of Vesperia now more than him. Of course, that's probably just because I'm getting a heavy dose of Rita right now, going through Tales of Vesperia again after all these years. But yeah. So those are the two gripes left, but because of those two, I can't say that realistically that doesn't allow Final Fantasy IX to truly be what I personally think is the best game of all time, even in my personal opinion. I know everybody's, overall it's entirely subjective, or at least mostly subjective, but me being as honest as I can, no, I cannot say because of those two major faults. If you have more than one major fault, it's really hard to think, okay, can this truly be my favorite game of all time?
Well, I mean,
thing is,
even Chrono Trigger has faults.
I don't think at least not offhand right now, I cannot think of a gripe I have with Chrono Trigger that's anywhere near in gravity to my personal hatred of Zidane, or the fact that Tetramaster is such a downgrade in coolness and playability in comparison to Triple Triad.
Yeah.
So
for Chrono Trigger, it's not a long list, but I do have things that I would have done differently. I think it would have been cool if Chrono would have been able to be swapped out before literally the end of the game. Like after you go through.
I don't know if that's literally the end. In a way, you can say it's the end. It's like the final chapter of the game per se, but there's still a lot of gameplay left.
You can go beat the game the second he dies.
Right.
Like,
well, yeah.
That's it.
But I mean, like, at least on a normal playthrough,
hard. But...
yeah, on a normal playthrough, I do all of the quote-unquote optional events because by the time he dies, that's really in terms of like amount of time you're putting in the game, that's maybe 2/3 of the way through.
Right. But the thing is, I still think it would have been better for the game overall if you had the option to trade out Chrono for like any combination of 3. Because here's the deal, right? In a game that has as many robust like party combination and techs as Chrono Trigger, you're limiting the party to, hey, they all have to have Chrono in them. Like, there are cool party comps that have a lot of like cool techs that you can make up cool party composition, but only after Chrono dies. And that's kind of dumb.
Yeah.
And maybe it wouldn't even be done.
And in fact, I think like all the triple techs except for the ones you have to.
That's the other thing
you have to use with by acquiring an item. All the ones that don't require an item that you can do just by everybody having their abilities and you automatically learn it. They all have Chrono as part of them, right?
There's every single triple tech in the game has to involve Chrono except
the ones
5?
that require the rock items.
Right. And that seems kind of crappy too, because here's the thing. All right, so you don't get you are forced to use Chrono for like 90% of the game, and then once Chrono Trigger or Chrono is kicked out of the party because he dies, now you don't have any triple techs because they're all tied to him.
Spoilers. That you said Chrono
Last of
Gods.
Last of Us 2 came out like, what, 2 months ago, maybe?
I know, like I was making
Chrono
fun of
Trigger
those
came
that
out in
still...
97?
95, dude.
95, yep.
In fact, it was Nintendo Power's best SNES game of the year.
As it should
Which
be.
it fully deserved.
Yep.
Best game of the year, period.
Of
Best game of the decade.
century!
I don't know if I would consider that so much as a gripe. If it is, it's such a minor one. I would say it's more of a, well, they could have done this better. But this is good as it is. But I can see how it could have been improved upon.
And of course, having that gripe should at least explain somewhat my issue with Chrono Cross and the fact that there's like only, 4 double texts in the game and only 2 triple texts in the game?
I think their number of double texts was maybe in the teens.
Maybe.
But yeah, you were right. There were literally 2 triple texts. And I'm like, you have 45 party members you can choose from, and I think you can get as many as 28. I think. I'm trying, and I don't. It's not because I remember the number. I'm thinking of the menu screen
Right.
where you can see all the portraits of all the characters in your party, and I think there was space for 7 rows of 4, something like that.
But
So that would make
regardless,
28.
and on top of that, in a fight, you could only use...
Yeah, I remember, for some stupid reason, the elders are, practically 2-dimensional.
Yeah. But
The Sylvite elders. Other than the elders, Fina and Ramirez are the only other ones in this whole entire...
that don't
who
look
lived
ridiculous.
in this... Yeah. Well, those who were not the elders, just the children, or the rest of the entire populace of...
But yeah, in Chrono Trigger, when you get to a boss fight, what do? You experiment with your techs and find out which ones are better, and you use those for the boss fight. You can't do that in Chrono Cross because the second you use a double tech, if your characters even have them, they can only use it the one time for that entire fight, and it's gone. Like, you only get one, and they didn't even really do that much damage. And even better...
Yeah, they weren't even, that special in terms of... I mean, the fact that they're so limited, it's kind of a pain in the butt to get to be able to use them. Especially the triple techs.
Mhm.
The 2 of them.
Yeah.
All 2 of them. But it's you can only use them once per battle, and they're not even they're just not impressive enough to, make that worth it.
Oh, on top of that... No. On top of that...
The summons were even worse.
No, yeah, I'm not even going to get into that. But... So here's the way double techs work in Chrono Cross, right? You have a slot, and let's say it's Surge. He has Slash and Gash, right? That's his tech that he gets in that slot. And
I thought it was Dash and Slash.
Yeah, alright, so that was Glenn's, right? So Glenn has Slash and Dash, or Gash, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And to be able to make an X strike, both characters have to have the stamina and the ability to use that, and then that skill turns into X strike on both their lists, right? So you have to choose between, do I want to do X strike once, or do I want to do each of their individual techs once? Because you only get to choose between that. You're sacrificing the individual skills to do the double tech.
Yeah, it was dumb that you can only do techs once per battle in the period.
Yeah. Dude, look. I mean, anybody who's known me for 5 minutes...
I can kind of see what the elements, as many as you can tend to equip and everything. And really, that's the only reason the game was challenging at all, is as little HP, the skill of HP, just general toughness on all the enemies and stuff. The only thing that made it at all challenging was the fact that healing elements were few and far between, and even then, it doesn't matter about MP or anything. You can only use them once. You have to be extremely careful, extremely limited on being able to...
And guess what? That's not fun.
Well, it's that you had a screenshot of a battlefield in Final Fantasy Tactics Advance once, and plays the laws that were forbidden when it tells you what you're not allowed to do. You just put in the word fun. Forbidden. Fun.
Fun. But yeah. Going back to Chrono Trigger, yeah.
I shall take you to the Hall of Knowledge where you will find the truth. Anyway, you were talking.
No, I'm just saying that's Chrono Trigger, like that. I think that's like the only complaint I might have with Chrono Trigger.
I like just how Ika's just kind of floating around here. Weird noise. Huh. Oh, I forgot Gilder was with us. Where's the Chronicles of Arcadia? Pass the Chronicles of Arcadia. Oh yeah, if I recall, the elders are like, oh, we intend to rain and use the crystals to do the rains of destruction ourselves. Like, that's what Gaussians want to do, so you're not really different from him.
This is Spinal Tap.
You know, I still never uploaded those. And I see, I've listened to it in the background before. I think you had, I'm willing to bet you had the audio quality of us talking be like so as to discourage me from uploading it. Being like, well, you know, you can't really hear anything any of us are saying anyway, so. But you know what? I think I'm just going to do it just to spite you.
Don't do that.
Because you know what? You were like, we beat the, I mean, we finished making this game. We will do. I will do this with you.
And I did.
I think, you know, you kind of needed to let me know if you were going to sabotage it, though.
I didn't
That shouldn't be.
Was not sabotage. Was not
You really
sabotage.
have to strain to make out everything we're saying. It's like, you don't want to be associated in any way, form, or fashion with.
I would rather not have, of all things, a video of that become more popular, become more circulated than our actual game.
With what? Oh, well, actually, I actually have probably almost 1,000 subscribers now. But I don't get a lot of views. I think people just subscribe to me passively because they saw, like, 5 minutes of one video. Like, I'm like, okay, well, maybe sometime in the future I'll just happen to glance across this dude's channel and be like, oh, that might be something I want to see. Definitely not actively keeping up. So as many views as I'm sure this LP is going to get, it's not going to get circulated. Okay?
How many people do you think played through our game?
3.
Who?
Dragon and... like, all the way through?
Yeah.
Or just significantly into it?
Well, I meant, when I say play the game, I meant play the game, but...
1.
And alright, and who were the partials?
Maybe K-Jack, Shadow Fox, Maokai.
No, Maokai didn't touch it.
Oh.
I don't think Shadow Fox... Did Shadow Fox play any of it? I don't think he did.
I think I asked him once. He was like, yeah, I did. Just didn't...
Skeptical. But, you know what? I mean... Shadow Fox, if you actually end up ever watching this, which I doubt you will, but if you do, by no means are you expected to, or should you play.
No, you know what, Shadow Fox, I'm going to make you LP with me.
There's no obligation to do it whatsoever.
And then what I'm going to do, no, instead, I'm not even going to make you LP Arc Aerith with me. I'm going to make you, because I bet he want to do this. LP, The Secret of Everyone.
No.
The version that Lantis does not want uploaded to YouTube.
Don't.
I bet he'd get a kick out of it.
Yeah, at my expense.
Do you want me to just lie and say that I made The Secret of Everyone then? Will that make you feel better?
Well, no, because you just recorded it on your video that it was a lie.
Yeah, but how many people who would see The Secret of Everyone
Because people who know you know
also
know that you know how to spell the word surprise.
That's a good point. I could say you did the text. Wait, no, that's basically like that's what you should be embarrassed about. Never mind.
Like,
and technically, you did do the text.
Surprise is like the equivalent of assane.
No, it's not that bad. No. That is still a better, and like even better told. That's still a better story than And I'm not lying. I'm not exaggerating. Not making a joke. Nothing could be more confusing or bare bones, worthless, uninteresting story than freaking
Ultimate story.
Ultimate story or Asuru, the Ultimate story. Was that supposed to be Ultimate, or was Ultimate like some other name? I'm just not.
I do not know.
So it was like, see all the wars that happened in the world below. We must be its judge.
The human race requires judgment.
Resident Evil 5.
Oh.
Wesker.
You were asking.
I loved, I was like, trivia.
Oh, I didn't catch.
And I love how Chris responded. And like, even as you're running away from him, because he's like, throwing his Ouroboros arm all about, thrashing. Chris is like, requires judgment? Where you get all your ideas from comic book villains?
Chris! Man, I was so sure that Wesker didn't die in 5. And I still think there's a piece of me that believes that. But I don't know. Wesker might have died in 5.
if he's never come back in any of the games that have been made since.
Maybe Wesker had died. I mean, look. It sounds very implausible that somehow, or that he somehow survived, waiting in liquid earth, magma.
Oh wait, are they actually sending down the rains here, or are they just showing me like kind of like a simulation?
Destruction rains from the heaven.
I just like how he just automatically does that. There's no way in hell
opens with it.
You're gonna be able to. Your bars aren't even a fourth of the way filled up, even on the fastest speed.
Even if you have haste hounds.
And it just levels you immediately.
Oh, never mind. You're talking about that. I mean, it doesn't matter when you fight Lavos. He always opens with destruction rains from the heavens.
I know it sucks.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, they were the ones saying they destroyed the old Earth.
Oh.
I think that's how Arcadia came to be, like, making a new home.
Oh, we just watched how Earth died.
Well, I mean, it's so hard to pay attention to text and talk at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like, normally if I had played fully through an RPG 3 or 4 times in the past, and I mean, like, when I first played this game, I was, 19, I guess? 16 years in, that 3 or 4 times in 6 years, but somehow I never remember so many details. Even seemingly important ones, like how, Arcadia came to be, which I think just now passed by us and I wasn't paying attention to the text. I never remember this naturally.
Or how Solus burnt down 2 years ago.
And you tried to be humble and be like, well, dude, when Arcadia, I make references and homages. I do not make them integral parts of the story. I do not rip off entire. This is like, especially about the Manslayer Swarm Never to Kill Again. I remember when you were doing the LP on that, and I wish you kept it, but I know you were trying to be nice and spare Myokai's. Ice's feeling. Oh boy,
Ooh.
I just dissed you, Myokai.
Ooh.
I know you were trying to, be peaceful with Ice, but I still wish you kept that video.
No, I mean, I did as he asked. I deleted.
Yes,
the video.
I know.
It
I
no
remember
longer
when you
exists.
LP'd it when you got to the part about like we're caught in the character Kyle. Dude, that's what Ice modeled himself after, right? It was like
I
him
don't
and like two
remember.
of his friends, Brandon and some other guy.
I don't remember who was supposed to be.
Okay. He was like when Kyle talked about introducing himself, like I'm a manslayer sworn never to kill again, and you were like, "Hi, Kenshin."
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, but that's the thing. There's things about taking concepts and then, making it your own by, if it's swapping names around, changing themes, or at least putting it in a different scenario or looking at it a different way. But if you're just gonna like word for word rip something off, right? That is something entirely different. Like, it's cool if you like Rurouni Kenshin. It's cool if you like Dragonlance. Those aren't inherently wrong. Just,
I like him.
yeah.
I can find. Last time I watched through Rurouni Kenshin was actually just a few years ago, and I found myself making fun of so much stuff, and I'm like, I still like this anime for some
I'm
reason.
going to spend the next 2 hours explaining exactly what I'm going to hit you with.
When they make the attack, it's like, that's impressive. I see how you did that. Now, allow me to launch into an explanation of how.
It's ridiculous. And, like, some of the things just, like, what was it? Shishio's sword was, like, it was a fire sword because it was laced with fat.
Because he has killed so many people, human fat has seeped into the blade so steeply
that
it's like you can't
substance.
clean it out. So it's gonna be able, like, with the slightest friction, it's gonna be able to ignite all the time and somehow never burn completely away. Really?
That is breaking the laws of thermodynamics. That's like literally breaking the law. Also, a Futo no Kiwami with the power. If you hit
Okay,
something,
yeah, I think this one's pretty much a no-brainer on what's the right thing to say. Who do you think you are to play God?
Yep, we heard the thing.
And somehow I think, like, in the end, the elders actually kind of like are our allies. They make a desperate save and sacrifice themselves somehow later on in the game to stop Gaussian in some way. It's like, oh well, maybe these humans are, these lowly, inferior, non-Sylvite humans are correct, and we should give this world a chance.
Newsflash, Vise. People are shitty.
Well, to tell you the truth, though, I don't think it's really the world meeting their personal standards. More like, there are objectively a lot of shitty people in the world.
But yeah, like I think, like, if somebody wanted to make the complaint in Arcadia that the idea of guardian angels is too similar to Magic Knight, like,
not the angels themselves, no.
well,
I don't think it's similar at all. But the moment in which they appeared, yes, I did model that after one of my favorite scenes in Magic Knight Rayearth.
right.
That's not.
No, yeah, that's what I was about to
Okay.
say. Yeah, no, that's not ripping off. Like, it is similar, yes, but it's not.
I did literally have us named Hikaru, Umi, and Fu, and the angels were not like spirits of, well, actually, it was just Clef in that scene, like talking to Umi telepathically.
Well,
I thought at first I was like, wait, were those the rune gods at the no? It was nothing like that. It was just the same generic situation as in an enemy stops us when we've changed our minds. Or like at first in the very beginning chapter of the game, we're like, this is so weird. This is so unheard of. I mean, I can't imagine being in an alien world, and now it's all like, a fantasy RPG. I don't know if I can do this. I'm just an ordinary earthling, all that kind of stuff. And then, like, we get a little bit more of the story, like, okay, let's do this. The world's depending on us. I mean, that's kind of like where Umi kind of has that revelation at the end of Volume 1 of MKR. She gets attacked in the back from an enemy. A main enemy, one you will meet with repeatedly, and learns magic in her desperation to help Hikaru fight off Alcyone.
Well, here
It's a similar situation. In desperation, we start to become like, you know, these warriors of light with our first magic spells and stuff. Yeah, it's that. Very generically, it's the same. It's like an homage. It's not literally, you know.
It's homage. It's the difference between the two. One is homage, and the other is literal plagiarism.
And in a big way, it's not just like a name you took, because I have several names taken from various works of fiction here and there. Because my story is so big. Our story. I apologize. I did not mean to be like I. There's no I in team.
You're not gonna hurt my feelings. You can say I. It's just if that's what comes out, I understand. You're not gonna discredit me. You're fine.
Okay. Arcadia was a lot bigger, a lot longer, a lot more involved. Despite all the limitations of RM1, so much more longer and involved than Ice's shitty game, which had pretty much no fighting at all for once, and no story. There was no story. Of course, there's going to be thousands of names of people, you know, places and spells and things. Of course, I'm going to take names from others as homage. I'm not literally ripping off entire integral character arcs and storylines and stuff. That's what you did with the history of Solace. If you wanted to name the town Solace, it's in and of itself, that's fine. That's what I would have done. I don't think I have a town named Solace in Arcadia. But for instance, like, the names of the dungeons in the optional part of the game, I just took names from
plagiarism. I completely plagiarized Thrax.
I took
100% claiming that one.
I took names from the Bible that I just happened to think sounded cool. I wasn't trying to, like, you know, be preachy or have some kind of weird religious connection with this game, or anything like that. I just thought names that sounded cool, like Nineveh and Corinth. I was like, you know, I'll just, instead of sitting around trying to think of like some totally made up off the top of my head word. Some of those I did. Others were names that I know from other works of fiction. Better works of fiction.
Right.
I mean,
like the Snow City in
that is actually more of a personal.
Yeah,
it is from
Mega Man Legends 2, the first city.
No, it is actually from Mega Man 4. I know I've told you this before.
Oh, the
name Kalinka has stood out with me for some reason or another from my childhood. Naturally, I played Mega Man 4 way back when I was like 9 or 10 years old, when I first discovered the Mega Man games. Yeah, of course, Galcian showed up. I don't know what it was. Like, Mega Man is an NES side-scrolling game. You can say there's a story, but you certainly couldn't say like that in comparison to modern games. I mean, the story is pretty much told like in a short intro cutscene, and that's about it.
Not like Last of Us 2.
There's barely any even like dialogue mid-game. In fact, I think the only dialogue, for instance, let's take Mega Man 4 as an example. I think the only dialogue is from the beginning of the actual gameplay to the end credits is the one fight with Dr. Cossack when Kalinka and Proto Man shows up, and she's like, wait, you've got it wrong. Dr. Cossack doesn't want to kill you. Dr. Wily has forced him to. It's Dr. Wily's new attempt. I'm going to have somebody do the dirty work for me. Obviously, my own robot creations are not good enough to stop Mega Man. But that's not literally what's even being said in such a short conversation. That's what I'm gleaning from it.
Right.
I'm telling you the story from my perspective. An NES game is not going to be able to fit all that crap in there. But that's how it was. And for some reason, it made such an impact on me. I mean, I guess in my little boyish way, I thought Kalinka was cute. She probably like preteen or 9 or 10 years old. Maybe about the age I was when I first played that game. Just something about that name just stuck with me. And I felt some kind of epicness in this whole, this isn't straight Dr. Wily attempt to take over the world. It's like the series has kind of gotten a twist here. It's a twist as far as NES Mega Man series go. Yeah. About, it is ultimately Dr. Wily, but at first you thought it was Dr. Cossack. Now Wily has got other means of, you know, carrying out his evil plans. Dr. Cossack is actually innocent. He had to fight him. His kidnapped daughter, you know, Proto Man rescues her. and like betrays Dr. Wily, played him along so he could get a hold of Kalinka and bring her to human time to explain the situation. Or even if she couldn't somehow get you to sympathize with Dr. Cossack, perhaps you'd see like the humanity in it. The fact that Dr. Cossack, he might be a bad guy, he might be trying to kill you, but he has a daughter, he has a family. If you were to destroy him, you would be taking him away from somebody, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. That kind of humanistic angle. And that's why I was so pleased to see, and I'm guessing when they made Mega Man Legends 2 and they named the Snowy City Kalinka, it was kind of vaguely tied to Kalinka in Mega Man 4, in that, not that the city is a girl, but the theme of it. Kalinka and Dr. Cossack are clearly Russian.
Yep.
Russian is known for being like a snowy hellscape to a lot of people.
Fair enough.
That's a stereotype.
Right.
Dr. Cossack's castle was set in such a setting. It even had like this, like kind of, maybe even almost offensively stereotyped Russian architectural look to it. So I'm thinking that's maybe what they were thinking of, kind of doing a little throwback and seeing if hardcore Mega Man fans would make that connection.
That is harder core than I.
It could be all up in my mind. It might have been a total coincidence, but that's how I saw it. And, I see it. So I just love the name. It's just such a nice, kind of cutesy sounding little name, Kalinka. And yeah, so that's where, because in our game, it's a snow city, a lot of nice people there, all that kind of stuff. And one of my, at least I tried personally to met one of the deepest characters is found there, Sarah Winters. That's not even coming from personally, oh, well, I'm Duska, I play the hero who falls in love with her and all that kind of stuff, That's not even it. Mm-hmm. I really tried to work on making a character that I'm sure if more people played the game, who knows, there'd probably be plenty of people who would just see it as like a grown-worthy cliche about how syrupy sweet Sarah is, for instance. But with me, I made a character I felt connected with. Her and Jersey. And Jersey also came from very, very early on in childhood. And Are You Afraid of the Dark episode.
Oh.
I'm sure I told you that one time too. It'd be easy to forget, but
probably very easily forgot.
Do you remember? Did you watch Are You Afraid of the Dark often?
I did.
Do you remember the Tale of the Dangerous Soup?
Not particularly.
It was one of the Dr. Vink episodes.
Okay.
Where he was like the crazy chef at this very nice restaurant. And he had a special dish, a soup that was really expensive. It was because he would actually drain fear. He had this mystical statue like hidden in the kitchen, some kind of mystical gargoyle statue. And he would take an employee in there every now and then. The statue was like from some ancient tribe, who messed around with voodoo and all sorts of shit. So it had the ability to manifest that person's worst personal fear in a physical form. And Dr. Vink managed to have it set up with his own, scientific gobbledygook ways to actually like collect that fear in a tangible form from them in like a liquid whenever the gargoyle attacked him. And see, it's almost like a critique on the human race, like the more barbaric sides of them. The fact that the customers were finding this ingredient, this is the secret ingredient of the soup. It tastes so good, they're willing to pay $100 a bowl for it. It literally, I remember he charged $100 a bowl. It was sad. They are tasting other people's fear. They are literally feeding off of them. I thought it's like a bizarre story, but I found it very interesting. And a very minor character in it was named Jersey. She was one of the victims of the gargoyle. And at the time, I just remember, I was like, Jersey? What kind of name is that? But it stuck with me. It's like weird. I found it weird but fascinating at the same time. It wasn't weird to me in like a bad way to where I was averse to it.
Well, it ended up being a character in your story that you wrote back in high school. Yeah. Yeah, and it proceeded to her. And then when I managed to actually make a real coherent story in Arcadia, instead of just writing a bunch of little excerpts and like, maybe one day I'll be able to bind all this together in a plausible story, and I never did. I wanted to use that name because I loved it.
it's been a part of my life in so many other ways. And also, I kind of add the fact that since Jersey, Hartshorn, and Arcadia is supposed to be like the cutesy one, I also thought, well, Jersey also fits because for some reason I remember we were studying, like, you know, for a small amount of time in one of my ag classes, we were studying various species of cattle. The teacher said this, and I guess everybody thought it was weird. I mean, and out of nowhere, it's going to sound weird. She's like, and when teaching us about the Jersey cattle, she was like, they're also the ones that are known for being kind of cute. And I was like, okay, as much as you know, see a cow, and it's like, you know, that's cute. But I did, later on, I did kind of study, you know, as part of, I'm sure as part of exam material, I was studying, like, the various breeds of cattle, and I do remember others. There's Holstein, there's Angus, stuff like that. And I have kind of looked between, I'm like, you know what? Jersey cattle do kind of have this cute face, at least in comparison to the other cow species. So that also was like, well, that just gives me even more incentive to name this character in Arcadia Jersey. And I didn't know starting out how important I was eventually going to make her.
Yep.
And I'm glad about that.
Yeah. I mean,
then I gave her her first name Gwendolyn because, you know, that's actually my sister's name.
That's cool.
It's not Brooke. Brooke is her middle name.
What's your parents and be like, we're going to name our children, but call them by their middle names?
Yeah, I know. I'm William Bradley Fentress. They called me Bradley. I did not realize William was my real name until, like, my senior year of high school.
Well, I mean, if it makes you feel any better, my name is James Edward House. Or, sorry,
I thought it was James Ryan House.
Sorry, I'm James Ryan House. J is not short for James.
Okay. I mean...
Why am I called J? Why did they call me that?
I guess you didn't have as much of a problem with it as I did, being eventually I had a problem with, my name's not Bradley, don't call me that. Because William's freaking cool.
Yeah, I played Illusion of Gaia, I know.
And it's got a cool meaning too. It means protector. Actually, I think literally it is translated he of the Gilded Helm.
Wow.
But you can twist that around into, you know, like Valiant Knight, Protector kind of imagery.
The Gilded Helm is freaking awesome. Dude.
I know, right?
That is. That's
why I'm like, call me by my first name. It's my real name. And Brooke, I think she. Another thing that's weird is, wait, what am I doing here? This machine was built to transfer. Oh, that was going back to the center.
I was going to say, at this
point, go back the other way. And you know what? Let's go ahead and end it here at the save point. But yeah, let me get this in. I mean, to kind of, in a way, I'm not really honoring my sister in having, you know, because I give a lot of the main characters in Arcadia with, like, full names, not just a first and last, but they might have a middle as well. So with Jersey's like Gwendolyn, Jersey, Hartshorn. Thing is, I actually like the name Gwendolyn. Brooke hated it. I don't know if she still does. But I do remember distinctly, she made it known I am not a fan of my first name when we were little.
I think Gwendolyn sounds fine. I have no problem.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. It kind of makes me think of like the name of just like kind of like a princess, very noble, royal-like figure, I guess.
I also like names that you can use like the first syllable of as like their name, like being called Gwen for short.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, at least short names that make sense. Unlike, you know, William, it's being like the shortened version of William is Bill. That makes no sense.
It doesn't.
Why?
I mean,
why
you took like the
thing?
most. I mean, for lack of a better term, you took like the most integral part of the name, the very first letter of it, and made it something completely different.
Makes no sense.
It rhymes, but
at what cost?
I don't know. For me personally, it just takes all the dignity out of William. I'm like, okay, if you're gonna go short, it's Will, and that's what I go by at work.
Well, I mean, that makes sense. Will should be short for William, just like Gwen should be short for Gwendolyn.
Yeah, what if instead of Gwen, Twin? I mean, okay, how would that make any sense, you know?
Great.
Or just take like the last part of it, Lynn. I mean, what if you did that? Oh yeah, like the only places you can really go to are like Fina's and Ramirez's rooms. Because again, other than the elders who just hang out in like two-dimensional magic glass mirrors all day,
Fun.
Fina and Ramirez are the only other two living creatures in the entire Sylvite nation. Oh, and Fina's reminiscing about the good old days before Ramirez turned into a maniac.
Right, I'm a maniac. Hey, remember when I made you listen to the first 30 seconds of Twist by Korn?
Oh yeah. I was just like, I can't even get through this all the way. This is just noise. I mean, very, very unpleasant noise on top of that. You know, I think the actual the part about the in that other song, like where how I first heard of the band Korn, I always hated them. Don't get me wrong. That
was Freak on a Leash, right?
I don't even remember the name of the song.
I think it was Freak on a Leash.
But I think even that sounds more coherent than the way that Twist started out. Twist.
I like how...
whatever sound they were making, and it's like so discordant. Just
I think that's
getting
why
like
people liked it.
audio whiplash from
Twist.
And like that's all they're saying. There were no more lyrics in that.
I also like how they were like deliberately saying twist, like out of tune or out of sync, like just
yeah, that too.
Be...
Even during that part where it's like softer, more subdued. It's like Twist couldn't even be like on beat.
Twist. By the way, if you've not heard Twist yet, you're welcome.
Yeah. Was that?
What? No, that would be rude.
It just kind of reminded me of like the... Oh god, oh no. Usually there is not an unpleasant odor that accompanies that.
Oops.
Thankfully with you. Yeah, that's bad too. Why'd you do that to me? That just kind of reminds me of like one of those few funny moments of like Family Guy. Dude, I've long ago stopped watching that.
Me too.
I don't think there was ever a time when I was really like actively like following it. But I might get into like every now and then like I might have gotten into like little YouTube watching sprees.
Yeah.
On it, but
I used to watch it. But
one like... of those parts that was funny. The way you did it just now reminded me of when like Lois like Peter put on some like stupid play or something, and Lois is like, "Why are you all plotting? This blows!" And then like in total dead silence out of that, Peter's just like, but I guess it wouldn't have been audible if it hadn't been for the fact that he was staying in front of the microphone, you know. So, and like so then like audience, you know, after the applause, they find that entertaining as in funny, so. We're laughing at that. I don't know. Just that's the way it sounded just now. Okay, elders. What was I supposed to find here?
Oh, you better go find my patients.
I get it. Oh wait. Okay, that's the same point. Maybe I missed this room here. There is something here. Yeah, I imagine it probably really sucked to be Fina. She had like she had like 7 other people to talk to in her entire life.
It sucks to be stuck out in space.
I'm trying to think of a way to rhyme
the rhymes with space.
Yeah.
Ramirez and his stupid face, it sucks to be me. It sucks to be you. You win!
I feel better now.
shout out to Avenue Q.
Alright, well, we're just gonna go ahead and save and call it quits, and we'll look up in the walkthrough before next time. Like, I was always...
Which hopefully won't be, 4 months. Or
I'm sure it will only be about a month this time.
Alright, that's cool.
Okay, guys. Well, it's been great. Thanks for staying with us this long, especially as slow going as I am in most of my LPs, especially this one.
Yeah.
So for all of my fans out there, I do appreciate you, even though I don't do this professionally or really have professional quality at all. If you like watching it, even if just passively, I appreciate that. Please let me know sometime in comments below what you think. Or just be like, hey, SK, what's up? Alright, good night, guys.
Take it easy.